do I really mean when I say treasure yourself, don't measure yourself? I talked a little bit about it in the last video, but what I want to talk about is the role the measuring has in triggering depression in those with Turner syndrome. And it probably triggers depression in a lot of other people too. But this is what I've noticed in the discussions we've had about depression in the Turner syndrome community. We begin by measuring ourselves against a standard in some respect. Perhaps it's our ability or inability to reproduce. Perhaps it's a physical characteristic that we are unhappy about, like webbing of the neck or a short stature. We look at what is considered normal as our standard, and it's worth noting that that standard, first of all, is cultural. It's not global. There's no global idea about how we're supposed to look or how we're supposed to be. There's cultural ideas. So first understand that that standard is constructed. It's not a fact. It's constructed. It's an idea. So we measure ourselves against that standard, and because of our unique characteristics, we don't quite fit in that peg. We measure ourselves against a make-believe standard that isn't even real. And when we don't measure up, we don't feel as good as. What can we do instead? What can we do to break this pattern when we do it to ourselves? And I'm not talking about when other people measure you. I'm talking about when you measure yourself. I should be this way instead of the way I am. What we need to do is talk about how we can reframe that. When we notice ourselves measuring, how can we reframe it so that we are treasuring what's unique about ourselves? What do I mean by reframing? Let me take an example. Let's take a physical example. For example, sometimes I have gotten upset about the shape of my neck and shoulders. I have had incidences where I've been told, for example, in meditation class, relax your shoulders. My shoulders are relaxed. And they're like, no, relax your shoulders. My shoulders are relaxed. And they think because of the shape of my shoulders that I'm hunching them up, and I'm not. They're actually fully relaxed. And incidents like that have triggered me into feeling frustrated that I have a physical difference. And then I start forming and falling down this staircase. I build the staircase of I have a difference physically, and I should be this way instead, but I'm not, and I construct the staircase, and then I throw myself down it and continue to stay in that mindset till I'm down in a pit of depression and unable to climb out. Instead, how might I reframe that? I can consider how that incident gives me the opportunity to educate someone. I ended up educating my meditation instructor about Turner syndrome, and that person had never heard of it before, so there is something useful that I was able to do with that special characteristic that helps other people. To summarize, we're first measuring ourselves against a fabricated, conceptualized, cultural standard of how we should be, which we don't fit because we're different. And reframing is, first of all, acknowledging what the reality is and how you really are, and then building on what you can do with that. What are your strengths? Because if we allow ourselves to be measured and constantly throw ourselves down that staircase, which is a metaphor for triggering depression, it doesn't give us a way out. So, I would like to start discussing what are some specific examples of situations that have triggered depression. How can we reframe them? individual stories, individual examples. How can we reframe them? I hope everyone who's watching this video is encouraged to participate. If you're not part of the Turner Syndrome community, you can go ahead and comment anyway, because a lot of the challenges we face, even though they affect us in unique ways, are things that the rest of the population deals with as well. And I have always drawn a great deal of support outside of the Turner Syndrome community. Who's ready to start typing?